70,000 naira. I didn't know. I didn't go to market, but I was told that it's risen up to 70,000 naira. But then we want to look at how we're going to come out of all of these. Sometimes it appears government does all it could, to make life meaningful, bearable for the people. But then there are other challenges that confront government and the society generally, and so that's what we're looking at this morning. We have in the studio with us Mr. Bayo Olabode. He's a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Mr. Olabode.
Good morning. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Great to have you join us. We also have joining us virtually from Agorwe, Dr. Laniel Akinola is the head of department, Mass Comm department, Moshood at Olabisi Onabanjo University in Agorwe. Good morning, Dr. Akinola.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you. Thank you so much. Okay, let's begin from you, from the academia. The state of the nation. If you look at everything happening in the land, they are enough to make people feel, hopeless. But then, a program like this is created to create hope and to make people believe that everything will be all right in the long run. Do these things worry you, Dr. Akinola? I mean, the economy is not particularly doing very well. Now there's insecurity in the land, from the Ekiti point of view, and so many more. Are really making people, confused about the current way things are running in the country. But for you, how do these things worry you?
Well, to say it doesn't worry me, that will call a lot of things to question, because I live in a community where human beings live. I don't live in an elitist area, and so I feel the pulse of the society. Every time my wife complains, oh, this thing was so amount before, now it's gone to so amount. But I can also tell you that today is maybe 6 or thereabout, I can't remember now.
Yeah.
But my salary is fully exhausted. And not because I'm extravagant, but because along the line, all those critical needs have gone up. We spoke about rice, and you know that rice is a staple food for many homes now. I doubt how many homes still eat bread now. You understand? So I don't know whether you're getting me.
Yes, we're getting you.
Can you hear me? All right. So it's really bad. I mean, that's the truth. The economy is biting very, very hard on the people. And honestly speaking, it reduces your opportunity and chances to live at least a minimal life to some extent. If you struggle, you can only eat. Good luck. And I'm sure that I think I read someone maybe early this year or late last year asking that the economy will require us to be a bit more careful in our spendings, so that we only spend on critical needs and not frivolities. I think here is the time. But again, if you ask me, is it peculiar to Nigeria? I will tell you, it appears as a global phenomenon, right? But again, many of us live in Nigeria, so we can only speak of the ones we know. But when you talk to your friends, family members, across the globe, they will tell you the same thing. And the way you also feel it is that the people who send you money in the past, if they send you anything now, it's not as much as they used to send you before. That also shows you that the economy is also biting on the other side. What could be responsible for all this? And what is it that government is supposed to do that government is not doing? These are the kind of things I think we should be looking at. and making recommendations to government and scrutinize their policies and see whether they are moving in the right direction. So these are my thoughts. But it's not something I like to discuss with people because, unfortunately for us, we speak more on emotions rather than reality. And that's where my worry is.
Okay, Dr. Akela, we'll come back to you shortly. Mr. Labode, he mentioned, he said emotions, no realities. Do you think Nigerians are emotional at this point in time? I was somewhere, I think at the mechanics, and I was listening to two gentlemen. They were talking about the current administration. One was saying in Yoruba, Emi Lokan, Udeti Konsi, Kilarimbe, and all that. I had to come in, I had to intervene, and I had to educate him, you know, and let him know that yes, the challenges are huge, but it won't take 4 years of 8 years of any administration to clear the mess. I mean, such emotions are all over, they are pervasive. What do you think about this?
Well, thank you again, Biodun. The reality is that Nigerians are very, very patient people, and they are very, very understanding people also. But I think we have come to an inflection point where the water is beginning to steam out of a very, very boiling point. And it is justifiably so because, just like Doctor said, the income that people used to earn over the years has dwindled, and the necessities that we are told that we should spend on are the ones that are even more expensive. Take, for instance, food. The rising cost of food items in the market is unbelievable. And the staple things that we used to consider staple and affordable, gari and rice, today they are no longer as friendly in the market as we thought before. But having said that, the Nigerian people have actually been very, very, very patient people. We can tell from how we have been very forbearing with the governments of the past. Now we have come to a point where people are beginning to lose hope. But I think the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would make a difference. They would make a difference, but it will take time. But the time is a currency that nobody is willing to dispense anymore. Everybody wants a fix-it-quick approach.
Is it that Nigerian people are not, you know, also deep enough in terms of knowing that when problems have been there for years and they can't just be cleared in 4 years. They can't just be cleared. Nigerians probably it's because of the hope that Tinubu also gave them. Tinubu said he's coming in with some magic wand, you know, it's a renewed hope and all that. And in 1-2 years, they want to begin to see the manifestation of what he promised. So don't you think there's a conflict here, you know?
Well, for anybody who knows the average politicians, you would want to take their words with a pinch of salt, because, you know, there's no magic wand anywhere. The reality of it is that whatever it is that will endure will take time. It will go through a process. That is basic. But then, on the other hand, emotion comes in when you have reached a critical point and then you are waiting for something to turn overnight. So these are things that are peculiar with human beings. We have, to a large extent, also reaped the reward of the people we've put in office over the years. So we are complicit in our problems. We can't run away from that. We are a reflection of the leaders that we have chosen over the years. And so when we want to begin to lay the blames, we should look in the mirror. We should look in the mirror. But having said that, we'll become more discreet in the people that we put in office over the years. And not only at the federal level, let's not forget that the states are the driving force.
Yes.
The states are the driving force. So every corner of the states in Nigeria, people should begin to look critically at those that they're allowed to come into that esteemed office, because whatever it is that is done there impacts on our common destinies as citizens of that particular state.
Okay, we'll come back, we'll look at the states. We'll still look at the states in the course of this discussion. Let's go back to Agowe, Dr. Akinola. Dr. Akinola, how much of, in quotes now, confusion do you think the elites have brought into all of this? Now, look at the front page of the Punch, of Nigerian Tribune this morning. Economic challenges, presidency Atiku in war of words. Tinubu's response, uninformed, arbitrary, chaotic. That's from Atiku. Is blaming the economic policies of Tinubu. Now, is it strange, or do you think it's normal that Atiku is saying this about Tinubu's administration?
My friend Abe, let's look at this, right? If I come to you and I say, Abe, you know, I can give you opportunity to lead OGTV, right? What do you think you want to do for OGTV? I'm assuming that in your mind, because of your passion, you know, you say, okay, at least I would like to take OGTV to this particular level. Is that not what you say? And genuinely, that's what you want to do. The position I occupy today is a leadership position. I provide leadership for my colleagues, even my seniors and my students. You understand? But I can tell you, it is not every wish, every aspiration that I bring here that I've been able to achieve, and not because I do not wish to. So there's a difference between wishes, right, and the reality. And that's why in economics, they will tell you certain parables, all things being equal. Now let's put that on one side. If you and I are contesting for a particular position and we have to campaign, it will be arbitrary for me not to say that I can do everything better than you can, right? It will be arbitrary for me not to promise what the people actually want. Because here, what you are doing is that you want to win people's votes. And to win people's votes, you must speak to their needs. That's the way to win their votes. You cannot want to win people's votes and you are telling them, I am sorry, when we get there, you may not be able to do anything. Obviously, they will not vote for you. And so that's why most times people think that politicians make a lot of noise. Hello?
Hello, yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, they make a lot of noise. They make a lot of promises. Yeah, they have to make it. The electorate will also have to be wise. Someone who wants to fight another contestant will say, oh, I will knock him out in round one. But that person will be knocked out in round one. So I'm not surprised that Atiku is attacking Tinubu. That's what I expect of him to do, really. But again, rather than do that alone, anytime you pick a fault with a policy, right, then make your own recommendation. And then let people know whether that your recommendation will be better than the policy that is currently in place. You just don't criticize people just for the sake of criticizing them. And that's why we say talk is very cheap. Even for some of us who speak here, I don't know what Tinubu is facing. Until you come to where I am, you may not know what I'm facing. And those are the realities. So what you do in election is to pick the best of your options and trust that at least when they get there, they will also try to do their best. But I understand people's feeling, just like my analyst says that. The bottom line is what is on our table. Fuel, gas, food are critical things that have spiral effects on the society. And so I mean, I don't want to use a foul language. It's not too palatable at all. But again, this government has not told us since day one. They said it's going to be rough, but that we need to be patient. But the question is, for how long?
For how long? Now, I need you to actually hit the nail on the head, Dr. Akinola, because you're in the academia. People have also blamed the elites. You know, they say the elites are the major problems in this country. That we don't speak to the truth. We are selfish. You know, we only push interests that are. Hello, Dr. Akela. We only push interests that favor us. We don't push the interests that favor the entire country. From the point of view of somebody in the academia, is that totally true? Do you believe that? You know?
We are human beings. Even in the Bible, a mother took 2 of his sons to Jesus and asked Jesus, when he gets into his father's kingdom, he should put one on the right and the other on the left. Has that woman committed any offense for liking herself? No. And that's why even the masses must also put themselves into groups. Are you with me?
Yeah.
And let me tell you, my major concern is that it is the masses who vote. So when these people get into power, they must do more for the masses. And I guess some of them are doing it. You understand? But they will now do, they are doing vote buying, whatever. Yes, we are the elites. What we do is to speak grammar like I'm doing now. How many of us go out and vote? But when they get into power, we are the same people who will write proposals, who will lobby government and get some chunks of all these things. Let me give you, I went to a mechanic shop. Going there because I know I was going to take some time, I took my table and my chair and my system, and I was walking, and the guy was looking at me, and he was laughing. Oh, this is how we steal money. That once we press our system right by, we steal money. That they are the ones who are working. That they are almost costing. Because I told him, I just don't work with my hand, I also work with my brain. So, I mean, for me, let's stop this blame game. It's not going to help us. When we come to the issue of insecurity, this blame game is the biggest insecurity that we have. Rather than to look at the issues frontally and objectively, we just shift the blame and put it on someone's head. And then the people who are perpetrating this, they go scot-free.
Okay.
So that's my concern too.
Okay, we'll come back, Dr. Akinola. Insecurity has brought it to the table. Insecurity, yes. I mean, the latest one is in Ekiti. But we thank God that the pupils have been freed by the abductors. But the driver of the bus was shot dead, body burns, right before the pupils. That's quite traumatic.
Very good.
Now, this is another issue entirely. A few days ago, some people spoke about the need for states to have their own police. You know, do you think that if there is state police, the issue of insecurity will become a thing of the past totally?
Well, my take on insecurity is this: we have danced around it for too long, and it's like a keg of gunpowder that if we are not careful, it will cause us so much of issues. Now, you look at the Plateau, you look at Benue, you look at Zamfara, you look at Kebbi, you look at the Northeast, and each time you hear news from those areas, they become very, very distasteful in your ears. Now, having said this, I think a state of emergency should be declared for this, number one. Number two, we should make it a focal point for all who are coming in offices at the state level and at the federal level to begin to tackle this, because the volume of bloodshed, the volume of carnage that has gone on is almost, it's almost making us immune to the kind of dastardly act that insecurity has perpetrated on people. Now, people say in the East that once a corpse is being carried and it is not related to you, it looks like a log of wood. But when it is part of your family, once the corpse passes, you feel some sensation in your body that tells you that this was somebody you had a conversation with some time ago, and today he's no more. So it resonates with us. Now, having said that, I think we are just beginning to wake up to the reality that this is a monster, and we are treating it with kids' gloves. Now, this is one area where I expected President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to have done more. Now, just like Dr. Akinola said, I can't pontificate since I know the problems and issues coming towards him are in multiples, and they will all be requiring urgent attention. But this one in particular, the service chiefs and security operatives should be held very, very accountable, because we've had this going on for way too long. Way too long. If my record serves me correctly, right from the days of Goodluck Jonathan, spiraling the 8 years of Muhammadu Buhari, where it began to grow in leaps and bounds, and it got to a level in which people could no longer apply major highways. Now, having said that, we also have a responsibility, because we don't have to keep quiet. Somebody, I read somewhere, I think one of the dailies, that said that if you see something, say something. We should begin to become more concerned also, because we actually, these people don't fly by night, they don't fly in the air, they are not spirits, these are human beings that move, and people will see them at some point in time. Look at, for instance, people who are abducted, how many school children. They must have passed some other places. Somebody must have seen something, but out of terror, out of fear perhaps, nobody is saying anything. So we also should begin to take our own part of the responsibility very, very seriously. If I'm not mistaken, when insecurity broke down in Italy at that point, what gave rise to the mafia was because self-help was becoming the order of the day. The police had broken down, and then people needed somebody to fill, an organization to fill in the gap that could step in and enforce some level of sanity. Now look at what the mafia also transformed into today. They became more or less a weapon of oppression and extortion, and began to even open branches in New York and across the globe. So we should learn from history. We should be good students of history and not allow this particular thing. And let me say this in closing. Those who are at the root of insecurity are not that smart. They are not smarter than the average Nigerian, because the few who have been caught, maybe because we need to take a good look at our security apparatus also and how compromised they are, because I don't see how somebody can move 300 students past communities and then they are not stopped.
There is also the argument that our security system could be that the problems are overwhelming for them. You don't think so?
I wouldn't give them a quick pass like that. That is overwhelming for them. If I were to go from here to Abeokuta, where Doctor lives, I know how many checkpoints I will encounter. And most of the checkpoints that we encounter, you find it's almost business as usual.
And needless sometimes.
They're needless sometimes. So I think we should be smarter in our approach towards this problem. And it really breaks my heart when you hear innocent people going to the farm, for instance, that has driven the cost of food up, people going to school. Now, are we going to advocate that our children stay at home and we homeschool them? But insecurity has to be met with a very, very stiff resolve by the populace and by the government, of the day.
Dr. Akinola, let's look at the state governments now.
Okay. I would like to talk on the state police proposal.
Okay, state police. Okay, yes.
This is security.
Yes.
Now, for me, state police a big yes, and the reason why I'm supporting it now, I was listening to the governor of Ekiti yesterday on the news, where he went to visit the rescue kids. And he said very clearly. He expressed his appreciation to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for coming to their aid to rescue these kids. And the question is, if all the 36 state governors will have to run to the president in Abuja for assistance when this kind of matter happens, then you can imagine that the president does not than just to wait for them to come. So, if the state governor is actually the chief security officer of his state, and he has security apparatus that responds to him without limitation, then you expect that we'll be able to nip some of these things in the bud. Crime will have been committed before we're now reacting. People who fight crime will tell you, in crisis management, the best way to manage crisis is to prevent the crisis from happening. Let's keep that as one. Secondly, the issue of security. All of us. And this, what we are seeing now, is the result of maybe 10, 15 years of an inaction, lackadaisical attitude as a society. Some time ago, cultism was thriving. All of a sudden now, cultism has gone down, right? Ritualism, Yahoo is gone down now. Now all these big people we see in the society, who we are not sure where they work and where they earn their money, but are living big. What is the source of their money? In their society, people praise them. Let me shock you. I listened to someone said, what is this police people doing? All these boys that help us to give us money, make sure our community thrives, all those guys who spend money, the EFCC and police are disturbing them. That is the kind of narrative we find in our society today. But just like my brother there said, when their relatives are kidnapped, they now blame it on government. Only Omoyu Oba Agbafo, Okashawale, Erujuli, Ebe. So these are where our problem starts. Now, kidnapping is a very, very good and lucrative business. Simple.
So these people got 15 million naira. 15 million naira. They got. They were paid 15 million naira. They actually demanded for 100 million naira.
Yes. Do you know how many people annual salary is 15 million? And when those guys collect that 15 million, they change base. They go and buy a new car. They go to hotels, spend money anyhow, and people will be shouting them, hailing them, praising them. They go to church, pay money, whatever, they will praise them. Yet, on Monday like this, you don't know where they work. You don't know what they sell. But they drive big cars everywhere. And the most unfortunate thing is that even when EFCC or police choose to act, the same society will rise up against the same people. So exactly what do we want?
Okay, I think here we have come to the point where, the state governors also need to take responsibility. You spoke of the Ekiti state governor, Abeokuta praising, commending President Tinubu for helping the state in rescuing the abductors. Now, I was going to actually, start the discussion on the state government because Mr. Olabode actually mentioned it, when we started. for everything that happens in every corner of states in Nigeria, everybody blames President Tinubu. They talk about Tinubu. The price of rice has gone up to 70,000 a bag of rice. Tinubu, our drainage system is not working. Tinubu, the grid has collapsed. Tinubu, the schools are. I mean, what are the state governors doing? What are they? I mean, we also understand that the fact that a lot of money have been released to the state governments in the past few months. Money saved from a few subsidy. Now, don't you think that this will also take us usually back to the issue of fiscal federalism?
Yeah.
You know, you don't think so?
Very well. Yes, that's exactly where I was going. And I've always said this. Unfortunately, people don't know that the governors are more powerful than the president. The governors are more powerful than the president, such that even the president cannot afford to stand against the governors. That's how powerful they are. And so for me, what we should be doing now is to take the governors and make them responsible for what happens in their state. And that's why I support state police. So that once you have state police, you know that the issue of security in the state should be in the hand of the state governors. Again, we are talking about food. Ogun State has a very large expanse of productive land. And you and I know that there was a ziggy of rice production some time ago when they built pyramids and did Shabeluju. Nobody is blaming that governor for doing that fraud. We are all blaming Tinubu. Meanwhile, the land belongs to the state. As a matter of fact, this state alone, just look at your swampy area, right? And encourage rice farming. Good enough, Lagos State has a rice mill. Why are we talking about rice when we can plant it ourselves?
No, rice mill in Lagos State in collaboration with Kebbi State. They call it lake rice. What is wrong with South
State?
What exactly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me give you a picture, sir. And this one I'm talking practically. I have 4-5 hectares of farm. Because of the office, whatever, I use proxy to manage the farm. I have plantain, then I have cassava. I produce garri for myself and for sale. I produce plantain flour. And if Ogun State can say, okay, we don't want to go into rice, we want to make sure we produce garri that will feed at least 15 or 16 of the 36 states of this federation, we will have solved one problem. There's no agric plan. Everybody is just going towards the same thing. Every day you see lorries load of plantain driving to Lagos. People are catching it. So even people who are making noise, for each of ourselves, let us also help ourselves and go back to the land.
Okay. Okay. Now, Mr. Labodi, as we are coasting home gradually, the state governors, they seem to be immune from this, from the agitation and the apprehension in town. Because we sit among people, and all people, the only man they blame is Tinubu. When Jonathan was in office, it was only Jonathan they were blaming. When Buhari was in office, it was only Buhari. Now it's come to Tinubu. You know, now who will educate the public? You know, to face their own people. You know, to face people who lead them in their wards. To face those who are in the State House of Assemblies. You know, to challenge their governors to do something. You know. I think that's where the narrative should shift to now, because all of this pressure on the same man at the center in Abuja. Because if you look at the federal government does not have any space, any particular space. that you call this is federal government space. All the spaces belong to the state governors or the state governments. Yet, the only man that we blame for all of this crisis is Mr. President.
Thank you, Biodun. I think this problem is because over the time and over the years, we have learned to scapegoat just the person at the head of the government of the land. That is the presidency. And emotion comes in when we don't engage intellectually. Because if we look at it intellectually, the closest person to us are our state governors. And they impact our daily lives. Now, the distance between where we are seated here to Abuja is far. But then Okemoson is not that far. This is just a simple logic. But the narrative has always been the federal government, the person at the center. And we have lied to ourselves. Let me just put it the way it is. That there's a magic wand somewhere up there that the person will wield and then everything becomes normal. No. The conversation should be those who are closest to us. And what are they doing? And that is why I like the place of opposition. Because if there's no opposition, people will do as they want. There must be opposition to tell people, you are not doing this enough. You are not doing that enough. Now look at the power grid. I wish we had time to go into that now. There should have been something that will have been done at the state level to ameliorate whatever the federal government is doing. Now, this has persisted and it has driven the cost of living so high. Because if you want anything done, you need to power the generating set. And the cost of fuel is not friendly. If you are not buying from NNPC, you are buying somewhere else where they are selling for you at 640, 650. And then you have to do this on a daily basis. Preserving food that you bought expensively becomes also a problem. So I think the attention should shift more to what our states are doing, to what the local government is also doing. And it behoves us to begin to call them to task, to begin to call their attention to critical areas that need urgent attention instead of blaming somebody who wouldn't hear you. If you cry from now till kingdom come, Abuja is far.
What is the role of the legislatures, legislative houses in all of these, in states,
the legislature has always been they are the ones that are the purse, they are the ones that approve whatever it is that should be spent by the state and by the federal government. So they have a critical role to play because they look at it holistically. This is how much we are spending this year. Which are the priority areas for us? Which one is it that impacts the masses more? Let's begin to put more funds into those areas. And so they are not immune to it too. Now you have raised it, this very germane issue also, because we need to begin to look at them. Are we sending them there also every 4 years or whatever the time limit is for them to begin to unseat themselves and have quabbles among themselves? There's real business to do.
Some people do also have argued that they don't understand their responsibilities. Those who occupy state House of Assemblies.
Well, in that case, I think...
if you permit me to comment.
Yes, quickly.
Now, members of the House of Rep, House of Assembly, House of Rep or Senate, is not just to approve or disapprove recommendation of the executive. Because they are the closest to the people, they represent their various constituencies. They are supposed also to come up with bills, motions that will help. As a matter of fact, when you look at the total number of bills passed, theirs should be at least up to 80%. Not that bills will be coming from the executive. For instance, anyone who is representing my constituency should be able to look at this constituency and say, okay, this particular constituency, this is where our strength lies, right? If we do this and do this and do this, we can produce this. Oh, this is the reason why we have insecurity in our area. Join your other colleagues, develop a bill, and then present it. But I'm sorry, many of them, I don't, in fact, let us start asking our members of House of Assembly, all of them, start asking them how many of them has sponsored a deal. You will be shocked that some people have been there for 2 sessions without a single bill. They only go there to go and discuss projects, then to go and do oversight functions, and then also sit on the neck of those agencies. They want to return, all those kind of things should stop for crying out loud. And just like you have said, if everybody will do his or her own bits in his own little space, who will be the better for it.
Let's quickly round up with you before we come to round up completely with Mr. Olabode. Now, when I was in school, you know, I read in elementary government that there is always a connect between the gown and the town. You know, you are in the gown part of it all. You are in the academia.
Yeah.
What has been the relationship over the years? I think we just go to school, we do our projects and all that. Those projects don't impact on the society, do they? I mean, what is the point? What is the essence of writing projects at the end of 4-year course in university or 5-year course in university when the recommendations to do projects are not implemented by government? What is happening, Dr. Akeola?
Well, 2 things. This was one debate that came up in a platform that I belong. Let me tell you this. I learned that the apartheid policy in South Africa was a PhD thesis done by somebody, and it was picked and implemented. All right? It is not that people are not doing good quality, practical-oriented research. But again, the truth of the matter is, until very recently, you will see that the people in government seem not to like the people in the academics. And I can tell you the reason why. I'm a political marketer, and I've had problems with politicians. The Nigerian politicians only want people who will say yes to them, not people who will tell them, Your Excellency, this way will not bring us anything. Let's do it this way. They don't want to be led. They don't want to be. You can imagine if a president appointed special advisors and said, well, I've appointed a special advisor. It does not mean that I will take your advice. What does that signify? So this is the truth. You only see results when you have someone who is inclined towards that kind. If I say, they say, show me your friend, and I'll tell you who you are. Who are the people supporting you? Most of the politicians, who do you see surrounding them? Who do you see?
But we've also seen some members of the academia, people like you know, appointed into offices, special advisors, assistants, commissioners, and we don't get to see any difference.
Yeah, because we are not special beings, right? We are not special beings, and I'm not holding brief. I'm not holding brief for anybody.
Yes.
You understand? I mean, if I had wanted to make money, I would have made money.
Yes.
You understand? But I have a conscience, and I understand I'm a brand.
That's just
if I render you advice, you don't take my advice, I move away.
That's just on the lighter note.
Yeah,
anyway.
But there are people who will sell whatever degree they have because they also want a bite of the national cake.
Yeah. But I never knew you were a farmer, and now that I know you are a farmer, I will.
Don't worry.
I'll be getting. Dr. Akeola, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's been so great.
Thank you so very much.
Having you from us.
I will wish Nigeria more success.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
In AFCON.
All right, yeah, okay, yeah. We'll be talking about AFCON very shortly, but that was Dr. Olabode Akeola, is the head of Department Mass Communication Department Olabichi Onabanjo, investor, go away. Mr. Olabode, as we're closing gradually. Now, Tinubu is really, really in the eyes of the storm as we speak. Now, what do you think will be going on in his mind now that he's getting attacked from right, left, and center? And the strongest one, coming from Atiku. The papers have actually reported it that Atiku is attacking Tinubu. Let me quote what he said. He said Tinubu's response to all of the challenges we are facing are uninformed, they are arbitrary, and they're chaotic.
Well, I can only laugh because that's too much grammar for that. But then you look at the pedigree of Atiku Abubakar, who is making this comment. He served 8 years under President Bola Olusegun Obasanjo, and most of the privatizations and the things that began to go south with our economy was attributed to the portfolio that he held. Up till today, we are looking at the reasons why there's so much financial empowerment on his own corner that is attributed to the privatization policy of his own time. And so I think if any other person is talking, well, he has the right to talk, but not this loudly to make this kind of noise. The pedigree of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would help him stand and weather this storm, because I believe for somebody who is a two-time governor in Lagos State and has produced leaders after that kind, he would know that the opposition would do their work, but then the government in power will also do their own too. What they are doing is helping him stay on his toes, but then he will need to also double his efforts so that the dividend of democracy comes to us faster.
What do you say to Nigerians at a moment like this? Because there's a whole lot of despondency in town. What do you say to Nigerians?
I'll just tell us to have faith, and then to never despair. It's never always going to be dark. There's always going to be the dawning of a day. No matter how dark the night is, there's always a morning that comes after it. So let's not despair. It reminds me of a Yoruba proverb that says, so let's have faith, let's have hope. It will get better. The sun will shine again.
All right. Interestingly, the name of this program is New Dawn. And so New Dawn is around the corner. That's our message. The message of Dr. Larry Akinola from Agoway, the message of Mr. Bayo Olabode here in the studio is that Nigerians should not despair, that it will be well with us as a country. These are teaching problems that we have to actually face as a growing country, and it will be well with the country, in the long run. Thank you so much for coming on this program.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, shortly we'll be discussing AFCON, and yes, if you're talking about hope, some hope coming from Côte d'Ivoire. I was one of those who criticized the Super Eagles. I didn't know they would get this far, but then they have gotten to the semi-finals of the Nations Cup, and they will be playing against the Bafana of South Africa. The first time Nigeria played against South Africa in the semi-finals of the Nations Cup was in 2000 in Lagos. It was 2-0, 2 goals from Tijani Babangida. And so Wednesday, that's the day for the game, and the second semi-final too will also come up, on the same day. That's between Côte d'Ivoire and the Elephants of Côte d'Ivoire. The Elephants are risen up. They were dead in the first round, but they came back. And so shortly, I'll be joined by Babatunde Koiki. He's the sports editor of News Central TV in Lagos. Babatunde Koiki is a sports editor. He'll be joining us very soon virtually to discuss the AFCON. Stay with us. thank you so much for watching us. We are now talking AFCON. The tournament is in its last four teams. 24 teams actually started this tournament. 20 have dropped by the roadside. Now we have 4. And interestingly, one of the 4 teams that are left in the tournament is the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We'll be playing against the Bafana of South Africa on Wednesday. The same day, we're going to have DR Congo face Côte d'Ivoire also in the semi-final, and we want to preview those 2 matches and look at the chances of the Super Eagles. A lot of predictions have gone in town. People have said that a lot of people have actually expressed their belief in the Super Eagles, saying they are likely to win their 4th title in the tournament, in the history of AFCON. We're going to be joined by Babatunde Koiki, as I told you. He's going to be joining us very soon. I hope he's able to connect us back. We got him a while ago, but it appears we've lost contact with him. Babatunde Koiki is the sports editor of News Central TV in Lagos, and we hope we'll reconnect with him. I know we're having some technical hitches. But then, it's important that we talk about this because every Monday on this show, we talk about the Nations Cup, and today won't be an exception. It's a big week for Nigeria. The Nations Cup is in the semi-finals, and the Super Eagles are there. They are playing against South Africa on Wednesday. The match is kicking off at 6 p.m. Nigerian time, and later we'll be having DR Congo face the host of the tournament, Côte d'Ivoire, who, you know, we're not looking like a team that will qualify for the semi-final from their group. Well, interestingly, they qualified. You know, they rose from the dead, and they have marched on strongly, and they're now in the semi-finals of the tournament. So it's going to be DR Congo versus Côte d'Ivoire in the other semi-final. But the first semi-final is between Nigeria and South Africa. We're to connect with Babatunde Koiki, who's the sports editor of News Central TV in Lagos, and as soon as we're able to connect with him, we shall bring him on, and he will tell us what he feels about the 2 matches coming up on Wednesday. But in the meantime, we'll be engaging you. We could actually take some calls and hear you what you feel about the chances of the Super Eagles in their next 2 matches towards the trophy, because if they're able to beat South Africa on Wednesday, then it means, okay, I think Babatunde is back now. Good morning, Babatunde. Okay, we're having issues with Babatunde's audio. Okay, I think in the meantime, we will be taking calls from you out there. Let's have your calls. Let's have your calls come in, and as we wait for Babatunde Koiki's verdicts on the matches of Wednesday. Super Eagles against South Africa on Wednesday, and DR Congo against Côte d'Ivoire. Nigeria has won this tournament like 3 times, in 1980, in 1994, in 2013. And so this one is, if the Eagles win it this time around, it will be their 4th title. South Africa have also won the tournament once in their lifetime. That was in 1996. And of course, Côte d'Ivoire too, they've also won it twice. But DR Congo too, they've also won it in history. They are one of the few African countries that ruled the continent, early enough in the 70s. The Nations Cup started in 1957 actually, and so the DR Congo also have a rich history of the tournament. And so we'll be taking your calls as we expect our guest in Lagos, Babatunde. Babatunde, can you, hello, good morning, Babatunde. We're having some issues with the voice of Babatunde Koiki from Lagos, and we hope we'll get that sorted. In the meantime, let's take a break. And we'll come back shortly, and we'll try to fix things and get the voice of Abeokuta so that he could talk to us. He's been waiting on the line for quite some time now. So let's take this break. We'll come back shortly. It's New Dawn on OGTV.